brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
there are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome. Wow, it sounds different, doesn't it? Nope, it's one in the same. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks here, presumably live and in the flesh, and I'm sitting next to Mr. Raymond Singh. We're going to have a little bit of chat, but Raymond, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. And as we get into today's show, I'm looking forward to, what do they say, an efficient, productive handover. What do we say?
I'm a very, that baton got handed off before you even walked in today. We missed you, I'm not going to lie. It's,
All right,
and I give you credit for the amount of effort you put into that. And I don't think our listeners fully grasp how difficult it is to be in that hot seat as often as you are, and to be well versed on the variety of topics and be able to. I give you credit. At the end of the day, I was happy to fill in for you. All
right. Well, listen. Thank you for that. You know what? It's just touching, man.
It is.
It's going to be some talk today. It's going to be open line 1:30. Our friends from HSC are going to join us, but we're going to talk about that when we come back from the break. Raymond 66 next to me, and who knows, Susan's next door in her lovely purple as usual. Woohoo! Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And certainly it is very, very, I say it all the time, it's a distinct honor and privilege to live in this country, to be a part of what is a wonderful time in human history. And I sit here and I say host, but in my mind, facilitate the discussion. I heard your comments earlier. For those who are joining us, certainly give us a shout, share your thoughts with us. There's so much happening, good, bad, and indifferent. What's that? For those of us who used to watch Lee Van Cleef and the old westerns, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it gives you a perspective on things. If you're more into reading Nietzsche, or you're into philosophy, or you're into just reading, generally speaking, you see things. Maybe you understand what you're reading. Maybe it's just something new. Maybe it's the same genre that you're always in. It's like music. If you don't engage and sometimes embrace, hey, you're not going to always be able to fully appreciate. But thank you, and to Badir and Javi equally for sitting in and give me at least a chance to get away for a bit. Let my hair down somewhat.
Let your hair down somewhat. No, absolutely. It's like I said again, it was a pleasure. We do have some very committed listeners, and one of the things I really do like about hosting Talk Today is it gives an opportunity, because I've hosted Sports Extra and a few other elements in the past. Our listeners tend to engage with Talk Today, and especially yesterday we had a lot of callers. We had Mario in the studio. We were discussing the port, which is a passionate topic. So we tend to get opinions on both sides of the aisle, so to speak. And it's always great to hear our listeners' feedback, because we have some very engaged listeners. There's a lot of intelligent minds out there in the community, and they're open to sharing their thoughts. And yesterday we had items. All the callers that came in yesterday offers some very educated viewpoints on talk. It wasn't just the passionate rhetoric. There were some very pointed topics that we were focused on yesterday, and it was just great to be able to engage on those. And to all the guests, it was a fun time to fill in yesterday.
Well, I certainly invite people to, one, listen, more important, comment, and be willing to take a perspective, take a position, to engage, and sometimes defend your view, but sometimes be willing to accept that there is another opinion.
No, absolutely.
Right? And being away gives you a chance to step back, to listen, to reflect, and to hear the caller from another angle. Because here, when you're listening to them, for me at least, you have to listen intently. You know, be an active, engaged listener. So that, well, what are you saying? And when you're on the other end and you're listening through the radio, or in some cases we use other devices, well, did you hear what the person said? Are you as attentive? Because you're probably doing other things. And I give you an example with the port, for instance. I had a chance, and probably should have done this immediately. I apologize to all those who tried to contact me while I was away. No.
It was a vacation from everybody.
Yeah, it was. I would almost want to call it as such, but and when you come back to hundreds and whatever it is of different types of communications that we use these days, it takes you a day and better just to get through it. Hopefully there was nothing that urgent. Sadly, there was one thing, hey, can you get me this because I need that? I'm thinking, but you should know I was away. Oh, I forgot it. We expect to be in contact with people immediately and constantly. I am very conscious then. Maybe I'll take licks for it. But I said to those who were important, I'm not going to be available in this means. This is how you can reach me if you need. Now, for some people,
I'm with you all the way.
That for me gives you a chance to do what needs to do and to prioritize. But I speak to the port specifically because you're away, and there are a few people who would share little things. Oh, there's an oil rig. They're going to drill the port. They're starting building tomorrow. And if you're not careful, you get caught up in this thing. So if you're on island, you probably be in that frenzy. If you're off island, you can't have it done by the time
you come back to a frenzy.
Yeah, right. And as you're coming in on the plane, you see this thing in the harbor, and you wonder, oh, is there some truth to that? And then you start to hear people's comments about, well, this one was on, that comment was made, how factual is that? How much of a spin? And you start to think, to what extent are we fully engaged, fully informed, and are we being champions of truth, or are we being, champions of something else?
So it looks like a chaotic conversation. You just open up like Pandora's box. Like, you start off with technology and separating ourselves from the information to then, are we getting enough information to make decisions?
But that's the beauty of it, right? Because today, and I don't think
beauty
today
is the eye of the beholder.
yeah. Today is not lost on anybody. September the 10th. Tomorrow, was it 15 years since Hurricane Ivan? Still fresh in the memories of many of us, even those who were able to leave deliberately, consciously, just before the hurricane impacted, for whatever reason, those who endured and then left shortly thereafter. But the notion that it's 15 years on, and are there lessons that we're still learning that we may have not fully sort of put in place some of the things, we look equally at the fact that for some, they probably haven't fully recovered financially from the hit. Maybe their insurance companies didn't pay up, or didn't pay up to the extent that they expected. Maybe their businesses, maybe the things that they lost, material things, the sentimental things. But equally, if you watch maybe the international news to some extent, you see the devastating effect of the Bahamas and the oil spill, the oil refinery. Specifically, the environmental impact. And then you think back, well, we were talking about that at one time not long ago. Could that have been us? Could that be us? What will that affect? Not just the cleanup expenses, but is this a generational thing? Is this something that they can recover from? What is the cost? And then you move beyond the reliance on fossil fuels and wonder, well, is this an opportunity for them to rebuild? Okay, despite the significant loss of human life and the environmental impact. But could they now emerge 10 years, 20 years, 50 years as an even better place as a result? More,
yeah, of course. I mean, you with respect to the Bahamas and you're right. Today's day is not lost on anyone. It's 18 years since the New York and the terrorist attacks in the United States. We talk about the world's a very different place today than it was 18 years ago. September 10th, 2019 is much, much different than September 10th, 2001. And for those in Cayman, obviously, there's a clear perspective on what it meant to be
Yeah, September 11, 9/11, no?
9/11.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the date, right?
Yeah.
Ivan was 3 years after 9/11 on the same date. So you talk about Bahamas, and you kind of go to, can the Bahamas emerge? And I think the reality is, whether good or bad from this, one of the issues that will happen following any traumatic episodes such as this, devastating episodes such as this, is, you mentioned loss of life and loss of, or environmental challenges that are faced. The loss in economic activity that happens following disasters like this in the short term, because things don't happen right away. There's cleanup, there's getting things in place, there's relief efforts that come in. And life doesn't resume right away, as we well know, for those who experienced Ivan here 15 years ago. And unfortunately, what that leaves a lot of times is a vacuum for those that have abundance of resources to step in as the Band-Aid. And unfortunately leaves communities more indebted longer term to those activities. There's no doubt that there is around the world a number of very wealthy individuals or companies that are looking at the Bahamas right now as an island destination whose land values just plummeted.
It's interesting you say that, right? For two reasons.
Yeah.
Not just the reality, but the fact that I just had a conversation with someone. You're overseas, you meet people, you're chatting, and you just have a little impact. But I was thinking back to Ivan, and the property values in Cayman didn't plummet.
They didn't plummet, but the need for access to cash did rise tremendously. And when that need rises, you have to find stuff to pawn off, to sell off, and a lot of times you tend to find that the cost of rebuilding and refurbishing your land and houses and everything else, sometimes the costs far outweigh the benefit at that point, at which point your land value may not have actually plummeted in real dollar figures, but it's in actuality the ability to sell that land just rose because there's no buyers out there. And rebuilding now can happen at a lot faster rate with access to that cash.
And
whether good or bad from it.
Yeah, that's probably what we would normally expect, but the Cayman experience has always been different, and expecting that to have been the case with Ivan and seeing the reality of the universe, we're looking at scenarios where in some of the areas, major devastation, but property values skyrocketed, right?
For a couple different reasons, from my understanding of the marketplace in 2004, and where their developers were looking at other areas, and it's a sensitive topic, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's the reality is that's reality. After a storm, people tend to be cash strapped, access to vital resources.
Vultures and ventures, huh?
The vultures come out when the chaos happens. That's the nature of.
Well, listen, let's chat about it a bit if you want. You have a few extra minutes?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Well, let's see if we get notes from Susan. She's saying me there's the only one thing of importance. Guess what that is? The break.
Can I interrupt the break for just a second before we go to the break?
You just did. Go ahead.
No, I can't. I got a big no from Susan. No, we're going to the break. We can come back then.
Well, I want to hear what he's going to say. Do you? Stay
One
tuned.
of the best parts.
We'll talk today.
We at The Wharf have the only multi-purpose conference room in Cayman, providing high-speed internet and all state-of-the-art audio and visual, and are now open and ready for your meetings and events. Multiple wireless microphones and Dolby surround speakers make your presentations on the giant screen clear and interactive. Imagine your meetings with a view, a full bar and kitchen on site where all your needs are cared for, just a few steps away from the Caribbean Sea. All F&B will be customized to your preference. Call 949-2231 or email info@wharf.ky to start planning your waterfront meeting now.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Hurricane Ivan was a storm that changed the Cayman Islands. On Wednesday, the 11th of September, you're invited to join the Water Authority as it marks the 15th anniversary of Ivan. View the Authority's special exhibit highlighting the impact of the storm and the strides the authority has made to become stronger and more resilient. Get important preparedness information to help keep you vigilant this hurricane season, all while enjoying lunch. Join the Water Authority in remembering Hurricane Ivan. It all happens on Wednesday, the 11th of September, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Water Authority office.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air-dried before opening. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit the DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. It was great to be away, and with the greatest respect, it's even better to be back home. That's my best accent. It doesn't work. But it's good to be back here, man. And I'm grateful to not only Raymond Singh, but Badirawe and Patrick Schmidt for fitting, taking some time and sitting and enjoying it. Hopefully, you enjoyed your time.
I did. There's a lot of perspective that I developed because I've hosted the show on occasion for one-off stints. But they will do it in this number of days succession because it does offer a lot of perspective on what's coming from our listeners, what's coming from our interviewers. But I was saying right before the break, before Miss Susan so rudely cut me off and forced us to go to
be careful.
One of my favorite parts of hosting the show was when I was writing the closings for the show every day. I had a little thing because I'm not as talented as you. I don't have it all built into my head, and so I had to write this little script that I would actually recite. And every day I would actually go through and find as many adjectives as I could to describe Miss Susan Watson. And yesterday's was the best one. What was yesterday's again, I think, Miss Susan? It was magnificent, magnetic, and majestic. That was the other one.
Oh, magnanimous.
So she was the majestic, magnetic, and magnificent Miss Susan Watson. And I don't think any of our listeners would ever disagree with me on that. They might disagree with some of my other viewpoints, but on that one, I'm pretty sure I'm locked in with all of our listeners.
You said something earlier in relation to the listeners, not just their loyalty, but their vested interest, their attention, their participation.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing. That is something that hopefully we will not as a country lose. And I say that from a perspective that after Ivan, for a very, very short time, we were a people. One.
Yeah, of course.
We worked together. You didn't have to have a lot of liquidity to get things done. You, the individual, the character, the person, was enough. Yeah, my mother always says, a good name is better than money in the bank. So you could use that. But our listeners likewise are invested, they're involved, and they're informed. And sometimes when they say things, it isn't what they say, it's the absence of what is not being said, the implications. Now, speaking of the magnetic Susan, she says there's a caller online. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back, my good friend Sterling.
Thank you, sir. How are you today, sir?
Oh, getting ready to go on my missionary journey. So I won't be troubling you for a little while.
Well, I hope you never see it as a trouble. And if ever I take issue with you, it's only to sort of get better insight. But I hope that you have not just a safe and blessed trip, but you come back and share with us your experience.
Yeah, if we get back, but God's will, that will be done. But this day, I have an issue with America, and just make me say my piece, and then you can comment on what you want. Cayman has had great dealings with America for many years, and they said if America gets a sneeze, cough, Cayman sneezes and all that sort of thing. Right? But the materialistic ways of of America, and feeling that she can tell the whole world what to do is really getting on my nerves. And especially so when they say about they're a Christian country. But the churches have no power. They couldn't even stop them taking the Bible out of school, you know? They have no power.
But now, I want to continue, but are we not seeing that equally in parts, in parts of Europe, including the UK?
We can go to all levels. We're talking about America right now. The Western Hemisphere has been kind of free from a lot of wars and all that, right? But how it affecting Cayman now? We see these two cruise ships companies that want to build this pier. They want to control the cruise ship industry in Cayman. I won't belong in this part. That's a few things.
Go ahead, sir. Yes, sir.
That anyone operating there must work through them. All these tours are booked, given to preference, and all the many buses that they have are booking tours for. Then some are getting water taxes. And other cruise ships, they can't talk at all pairs. Now, it's not government pairs, the more theirs. They're going to be literally controlling the whole cruise ship industry around here. We heard a lot of complaints in the island about some of these rich foreign people building up the big homes. They don't want Caymanians going on their beach. They're going across the right of way to the beach. And they expect to get preferential treatment because, we have money. Right? But the latest one I heard today really, really got my goat, as I say. We had a Category 5 hurricane pass 15 years ago. We know the devastation. Bahamas had it worse than us because that hurricane stayed there for a couple of days. So much more damage. Right? And I want you to tell you if this is true. I have heard that several ferry boats of people went across America to try to get themselves together to see what to do now, get things organized, get the women and children to safety so we can work. And America turned them back because they didn't have visas or something. Right? That is the main issue. And the main issue is a lot of these churches claim about America is a Christian country, you know. Where are these churches to help people who have gone through a catastrophe like this? And I can't blame Trump. I mean, I have, let's say, to put it lightly, a very low opinion of him. Right? But I think this is one of the worst things that ever did. To stop people from landing and trying to get themselves together after such a devastating hurricane. And like I say, I blame the Christian community for allowing it to happen. Gentlemen, God bless, and you have a great day.
Thank you, sir. And I trust, as you travel, as you go about, you'll not only be embraced, but you'll feel the blessings. Well, what's your perspective? 949-8837, 949-6990. Thanks much again to Raymond Singh, not only for co-hosting, filling in, but for sitting in a couple of minutes and just sharing. Now, he, as you know, part of our excellent sales team, so he had to go back to the Call of Duty. Nope, it's not that video game that I haven't played and probably never will, but he has a lot to do on his desk because apparently he has to serve more than just, the master here at the mic. He has to go upstairs and do the things that, puts the food on the table. But let me hear from you. What is your view? Last caller shared a perspective. What is yours? As he was saying, I recall do we call it a meeting, a discussion, where a few people expressed views to the politicians of the day who were elected during the time of Hurricane Ivan's passage, and they were sharing that, yes, on one hand, the government's intent to get the country rebuilt making sure that whatever immigration controls were in place were as relaxed as possible to ensure that we have the resources, including the people. But one fellow, very much in an animated form, shared with a very popular and powerful place individual whose position would have allowed him to be able to influence decisions. The gentleman said, we just can't throw open our borders. We need to make sure that as we let people in to help to rebuild, whatever the area expertise, whatever just manual labor, whether they have specific skill sets that are not available, that we still have some semblance of a vetting process, as it were. Now, he expressed it in a different way and certainly gave us some colorful insights as to the costs and the consequences. The caller's comments earlier about the alleged incident where the ferry boat goes across to the U.S. and they turn back. Well, it's a challenge, but I think what we can all certainly try to do is how can we reach out to those in the Bahamas and help them? How can we now equally within our own shores do things to make our safety and security that much better? Are there lessons not just from Ivan but from other hurricanes that we can learn? Not just the impact on the environment, but on the economics, the impact on our society. Ray Singh, as he was sitting here earlier, was sharing that potentially property values could be affected. People could find themselves in a distressed position and need to sell because they need the cash in order to do things. Are we concerned that people, after let's say a passage of a hurricane, and let's say they have significant payouts from their insurances, and they decide, well, they're not going to stay where they were, they're going to, just as an example, come to Cayman. Would that cause a bidding war for prices? Those who want to sell will probably do well. That could create another boom, but could that lead to ever increase in inflation? Could that mean that potentially people, not only those future generations of Caymanians, but those here and now who would like to purchase properties probably can't because they don't have the resources or they can't compete? Someone's willing to pay you $2 for something that is only worth 50 cents. You're struggling to find 25 to make up the 50, but this person has $2 to put towards it. What does that say? Hey, 949-837, 949-6990. Why don't you call and share your thoughts with us? Give us a perspective. And, of course, the Flow toll-free line is available to you. 1-800-534-8255. 1-800-534-TALK. It's amazing, huh? Yes, it is muscle memory. Maybe it's just out of road. You repeat it so often that you can actually remember it. Now, is there a break to take, Miss Susan? If there is, we shall do that. I don't know. Maybe the first day back you try to, a new broom sweeps clean. Maybe as I stay in track, maybe I'll get licensed later on to take a little leeway. Who knows? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
The Cayman Islands Cancer Society presents Conquering Cancer 6. Let's fight cancer together. This event will offer you information about new and innovative ways of screening, diagnosing, and treating cancer. Come and learn from the top medical professionals from leading healthcare providers from near and far. The event takes place at the Marriott Beach Resort the 21st of September. This interactive health fair is free to the public of all ages and will include free healthcare screenings for glucose level, blood pressure, BMI, and cholesterol, as well as free health food samples.
The time to invest in Cayman Brac is now. Contact Paradise Realty to invest in your future today at 925-7275 or email info@paradiserealtycyb.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for not only listening and participating, but for sharing your thoughts with us, and increasingly for showing the confidence to be able to speak publicly, whether it's something that you agree with, whether it's something you disagree, whether it is just a perspective. Well, let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dave.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, glad to have you back, man.
Thank you. I appreciate, what's this, that country song? It's one thing to be gone but not forgotten, but to be forgotten, not gone. So, it's good to be back.
Yeah, you don't know where you got till it's gone.
Yeah, that is true, eh? You can't miss the rain until it's not raining anymore, eh?
Yeah, and if the government fire you or if you quit, we got all riot.
Yeah, well, if they fire me, maybe I'll have a big lawsuit. No, just kidding. No, I don't think so. I will push the envelope sometimes, but I hope we'll do it in a respectful way, just to challenge the thought process.
Yeah, man. Well, talking about hurricanes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's time now for the government to get more serious in realizing the importance of having real hurricane shelters and not just using private sector buildings and schools that I think are not what we need according to what we're seeing, the results of what hurricanes are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And global warming is only getting worse. The Hurricane Center in Miami has warned us that Cayman is like a bullseye in the Caribbean for hurricanes. I think the government now needs to start providing real hurricane shelters, such as shelters with the foundations, I would say 10 feet in height, the foundations have walls that are at least a foot thick with 3-inch steel rods in them. And these shelters have a clinic, have a daycare center for our young children after the aftermath of a serious hurricane, a place for our elderly after the serious what might be occurring after the hurricane, and also providing food in these shelters, water, have a place where we're able to store our heavy equipment like bulldozers and trucks and so forth for the cleanup effort afterwards, and even places where we're able to store maybe even boats. I think.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what you're saying certainly is, if I was strong to consider, from the perspective of the number of people that we'll be able to accommodate in these shelters, how many people do you think? 10% of the population? 100% of the population?
Well, Dwayne, I would say every district needs one of these centers.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the least these centers should hold is at least 700 people.
So if we do 700, so how many shelters would we do? Enough for 10,000 people? Enough for 30,000 people? What are you thinking?
Well, one in each district. I would say would be able to probably accommodate up until probably about 3,500 people in total in Grand Cayman.
Right, yeah. Recognizing that.
In Grand Cayman, someone called in and said a center like this, just one center like this, would cost about $200 million. But that's why I'm saying now the seriousness of collecting concessions, this money that we're giving away to multimillionaires and billionaires, when a serious hurricane is coming, they're able to leave, and they're pretty much not too much worried about their property because it's insured.
Mm-hmm.
But us Caymanians who are not able to leave, we're able to have these hurricane shelters that are able to save lives. I mean, someone called in a few days ago when I was speaking about this and saying it would cost $200 million. It would be a building just sitting there. But it doesn't have to be a building just sitting there. These buildings can be used for many things.
Right. So with that in mind and having these buildings, to what extent do you think our building code or construction methods for our homes and for all the other buildings to make sure that those structures could serve to shelter us during a hurricane? So you've built a home. That's where your family lives. Not like some of the places we see in other parts of the world, but a lot like the older generations of Caymanians where their homes withstood serious hurricanes. Do you think that our homes could be part of that sort of sheltering capacity?
Well, if people can afford it, Dwayne, I would recommend people put their foundations at least 4 feet in height.
Mm.
That would be my recommendation if people are able to afford to do so.
Right. And then, I mean, not being that familiar with the planning laws and the sort of approval process as I was 1,000 years ago, but maybe if that's not allowed in some areas, or if there are certain amendments that need to be made in terms of heights and the like, perhaps those are areas that we can address. Just as an example, we see in some parts of the world, buildings have to be elevated because of the flood levels and the like. We could do the same.
Well, Dwayne, in the Bahamas, water came up. People that were staying in upstairs houses, the water came up to the second floor.
Wow.
And one thing I've noticed in Cayman now, we're filling in a lot of land.
Mm.
A lot of land that was holding the water is now being filled in. So the land that was holding the water before is not going to be doing that anymore, which is going to cause even more flooding now. And as we see, just about every day, they're filling in land and building. And that's what's causing more flooding than what we used to have before.
Again, something that we need to, as you shared, consider the impact of the areas that we fill and how that, just even in a good deluge, a nice downpour, are we concerned that that water has nowhere to go?
Even if that shelter, each shelter costs $200 million.
Mm-hmm.
If that's able to save lives, if a 7-year-old little boy or little girl lose their life, if the government gave their family $200 million, that would not bring that child back, But if the government built a shelter that cost $200 million, that shelter would save that child's life. And prevention is better than cure. And from what we experienced through Ivan, I think that should be a warning for us. And now that we've seen what happened in the Bahamas, and I've noticed in pictures that cement houses have been torn down in the Bahamas.
Hmm.
And this hurricane stayed there for 36 hours.
Like Ivan.
I think we should just take these warnings seriously and do what we need to do in order to prepare ourselves if a situation like that occurs here in Cayman.
Well, certainly from what you shared, maybe there'll be people who would see some great merit in it. Hey, thanks for talking to us, man. All right, let's take one call before the break. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, and welcome back.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you.
You had a good vacation?
I enjoyed the time away, indeed, yes.
Okay, that is good. Your last caller?
He is on these hurricane shelters just like I was on it with OC nearly every time I call in, because we had some just after Ivan, like I said many times. I was trained by Red Cross, and they put me down to be at the school hall in John Cumber School Hall. That approximately holds 350 people, but we had 400 and odd in there, including the people from Golden Age. And it wasn't pleasant at all. We had backup of toilets because it wasn't enough. But people should take notice of what the last caller is saying, especially the government and especially our politicians. You notice that they do even go and have meetings in hurricane season to warn the people. You don't have to frighten the people, but talk to the people and things like that is really, really necessary. Also, I noticed that the Red Cross has containers. They have a 40-foot container by the Boson Bay Presbyterian Church, and that is on a slant on bricks. And where it is, it's sitting up on like a hill. It's right by the Boson Bay Presbyterian Church. You can't miss it. And I'm thinking, if bad weather hits, plus that, it is nothing but bush around it, so they'll get on the radio and talk about their training and their training and their training. Training is good. That's what we need. But the thing is, you got to get these containers cleaned up, stocked up, and everything else. But if you could put them on a slant in a district, what weather wouldn't blow it over or otherwise destroy it, like during Ivan they floated away and destroyed everything that we had in there, including medications. Now, when you call these people down that should be doing the right thing, you get criticized. Then there is one just opposite. I think that's a 20-foot, just opposite the Red Cross Center that were up on blocks, up on cement. They shut down because they were building a road, but they left it down there. This is the hurricane season. Red Cross, get going and do what you're supposed to do. Anybody can get on the radio and talk about their training. Well, that should be part of their training. The last caller about he is on this thing, and I do not blame him because it is needed, especially in West Bay. Politicians has promised that, they'll see that we get one built. But then again, their talk until election time come around. And then they're all smiles, like the smiles is glued on with crazy glue from ear to ear. And then you put your X, and then we're forgotten about. But I am 100% back in the scholar, and I am going on the radio and say what I think about, because we don't necessarily have to have a hurricane shelter just for hurricane shelter or disasters. We can build it so that it can be used for weddings, receptions, companies that want to have big meetings instead of having it in expensive hotels that the people can't even afford to go to listen. Our politicians need to get busy.
Yes, ma'am.
To the people.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thanks very much for sharing that with us, and with respect, I said, take a leave with Susan, but now it's no more. Respectfully, we've got the news to take. When we come back, more talk today, so join us.
Radio K-Man.
Radio K-Man's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Police confirmed the identities of the victims in Saturday's fatal traffic collision. They are 26-year-old Lopez George Higgins and 27-year-old Charlisa Chambers, both Jamaican nationals living in Cayman. A car and garbage truck collided on Seaview Road near High Rock on Sunday, just after 3:30 in the morning. In international news, opposition politicians raged today at Prime Minister Boris Johnson's 5-week suspension of Parliament before the deadline for Brexit, and that grew angry and unprecedented protests in the House of Commons. Parliament has been suspended at the government's request until October 14th, a drastic move that gives Johnson a respite from rebellious lawmakers as he plots his next move in the effort to lead Britain out of the European Union by October 31st. U.S. President Donald Trump said today that he fired National Security Advisor John Bolton, citing strong disagreements on a number of policy issues. Trump tweeted that he told Bolton Monday night his services were no longer needed at the White House and said Bolton submitted his resignation on Tuesday morning. Trump said that he disagreed strongly with many of Bolton's suggestions, as did others in the administration. A walkway collapses and sets off a stampede in the holy city of Karbala today as thousands of Shiite Muslims marked one of the most solemn holy days of the year. At least 31 people were killed and about 100 injured. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8837, 949-6990. Or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Take your calls and have you share your thoughts with us. Now, if you want to WhatsApp your message, hey, send us your thoughts, 925-3261. Email is always there as well. I like emails. Sometimes, though, I've seen that they don't come as fast as if you send it by the Rembo. But anyway, talk today at candw.ky is our email address. If you send it through, we'll certainly read it for you as well. I was looking at a couple of things quickly during the break, and number of the comments sharing that. And I was trying to read this one, but I don't think it was intended for it to be shared publicly. So with respect to the person that sent it, just the gist of it, saying how easily and quickly we forget. Hurricane Evan has come and gone, and whether we celebrate it in a fanfare, whether we give it a sense of thanksgiving, the notion is that we are so really reminded of the devastation of what hurricanes can cause, and yet the passage, and 15 years ago and now in the Bahamas, you see the impact on all of us. Where are we when we think of this? We as again, not reading from what the email has sent, but just drawing inferences and being reminded of some of the own sentiments that we've expressed. We as parents, we as politicians, the callers talked about the churches, we as pastors, what are we doing? The gentleman who called earlier talking about being able to have buildings that serve as hurricane shelters. When we look at our construction methods, are we doing things not to make it more costly, but certainly safer? And employing the safety measures, can we do it so that people can still build efficiently, cost effectively, and not be delayed by the bureaucracy? Now, sometimes we confuse the notion of having a level of discretion with this unwielding authority to dictate. 949-8037, 949-6990, as we invite you to share your thoughts with us. And as I was looking at some of the things that transpired while I was gone, it's remarkable to see how a small country will allow certain things to unfold without even asking questions, without just just accepting what is there and let it go on. I'll give you an example. A fellow yesterday just shared with me, we're not even back properly, and he said, you see how busy it is on the roads, not just lunch times, but in the mornings. It's not just because of the school, but it's been that way all, summer. And another fellow, he chimed in, he said, well, look at the road works that were scheduled to, an announcement to begin July the 1st, to take 2 months. And now we're, middle of September. Is there any major progress? And he was referring to that roundabout near the Strand Shopping Centre there. Again, we see delays, we see things that have to be reworked, but are we looking at the potential cost? Not just the financial cost, but the delays caused by certain things that could have a knock-on effect. Frustrations alone as people try to get to and from work. Are there things we can do? Well, what is it that you suggest we do? 949-8037, 949-8037, or 949-6990. Likewise, though, we invite you to use our toll-free line with the kind compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Now, you think 2 weeks absence isn't a long time, but a lot can happen in 2 minutes, much less 2 weeks. And sadly, there were some tragic, road incidents that occurred. And again, it reminds us of how important it is for us to be, as best as we can, cognizant and cautious of our comings and goings. And as life sort of goes on, there are those who sometimes, seems like day by day, reminded of past tragedies, of loss and the like. So if we can, let's not be as insensitive and uncaring and as inattentive, sometimes as insular, and perhaps offer up a helpful hand, not just an encouraging word in prayer, but a helpful hand as well. 949-8037, 949-6990. Now, in the email, epistle that was sent that I referenced earlier, the writer was sharing the sentiments that, and it was sort of referenced, I think, by the later caller previously. The writer says, we seem, on one hand, to blame politicians for everything that goes wrong, but on the other, we seem willing to let them have carte blanche, rule, and decision-making over everything. So if we're not going to hold them accountable, if we're not going to offer up any sort of assistance, then we certainly shouldn't, as I interpret what was said, certainly shouldn't be willing to condemn if we're not also willing to contribute. Well, your thoughts? 949-8037, 949-6990, or WhatsApp 925-3261, and share your thoughts with us as you so choose. Now, the other sentiment, and it was a couple of messages that I realized some people didn't quite appreciate that I wasn't on island. They were messaging, and we were glad to know that the incident with Cayman Airways wasn't any worse than it could have been. It certainly must have been harrowing for those on board, but the skill and the expertise, and certainly the absolute safety for the crew as well as the passengers. We can see the wonderful actions of the pilot and his team to make sure that everybody was safe. But a few of the comments that came through, one fellow said, he just made a comment. It shows you how it's good to be properly trained and experienced. But again, when government is looking at prioritizing and now purchase these planes, where is the? I don't have his message before me. I thought he said review, but it might have been investigation into the acquisition of the MAX 8s. How do we come by them? Now that this incident has unfolded with them, what are we doing about the MAX 8s? Will we keep them in their possession and absorb the cost? Is there a way to return them? Is there some sort of opt-out clause within our agreement? And that's why I thought he used the word investigation, but I think I may have rated a review to see what has transpired with that. And again, his inference being, as have been a handful of other comments similar to that was shared with me, where is the level of oversight and accountability? You make a commercial decision, somebody must be responsible for its execution and be held, I guess the word to be inserted there would be accountable for whatever has transpired. Now again, like so many things, it oftentimes falls at the feet or at the table or in the lap of the politicians. Perhaps because of their approach in the past and to date of being hands-on. But again, it may be because of the system that we have employed. Now, sometimes people will say, well, he's got a role. Well, is that always the case? If it is, who's going to be doing the rolling, as it were? Well, 949-8837, 949-6990. We'll pause and take a break. 1:30, our friends from HSA will join us. We'll tell you more about that when we come back. But until then, there'll be some open line. We're glad to hear from you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
There are plenty of reasons to be a Logic customer. There's lightning-fast internet connectivity. There's the great overall customer experience. And now, you can improve your Wi-Fi connectivity with Logic Boost Wi-Fi for free. With Boost, you can extend your freedom to stream, game, and download seamlessly anywhere in your home, like your patio or your underground lair if you have one. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
Don't forget, early registration for Radio Cayman's Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run and 10K Run is September 30th. Register by September 30th and enter to win a Cayman Airways voucher. Early registration is only $15. This year's event will benefit the NCVO and the Central Scranton Park. Walk with pride, run with passion, and join your number one station, Radio Cayman.
The Cayman Islands Seafarers Association wishes to remind all members the September Social will take place on Tuesday, 17 September at 7 p.m. in the Seafarers Hall, 11 Victory Avenue, Prospect. It is expected that all members come dressed in their CISA shirt. Transportation will be provided as follows. 3 buses will leave from the West Bay Town Hall at 6 p.m. The Barnes bus route in Georgetown leaves the public library parking area at 6:30, stopping at the Cayman Compass building and the airport Fosters. The bus marked Bobo $1 public transport and is blue in color will do pickups from British Cayman, Uncle Bill's, Walker's Road, Shedden Road, and Crew Road. In East End, the bus pickups are the primary school parking lot, the gas station, and Wreck of the 10 sales starting at 5:45. In Northside, pickups are at Chisholm Store and the soccer field starting at 6:15. In Bodentown, pickups are at the Lorna gas station at 6:45, and in Savannah, pickups at the gas station next to Wendy's. They look forward to seeing everyone on Tuesday, the 17th of September, 7 p.m. at the Seafarers Hall.
RC Fusion featuring Billboard's pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Nathan General Maintenance and Construction. You break it, they fix it. Call the General for a free quote. 917-7586.
RC Fusion.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flo. 1-800-534-8255. Or likewise, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Got some open line scheduled for us, and as we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us at 1:30, our friends from the Health Services Authority will join us. We're going to talk about Caribbean Wellness Day. We're focusing on healthy aging and talking about some of the sort of planned activities for Caribbean Wellness Day. But we'll tell you more about that and the notion that as our people age, can we do so not just gracefully, but continue to be healthy as we hit 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Maybe we'll see people living to be 200. Maybe me and Susan will be the first ones. We'll see. 949-8037, 949-6990, or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. What's on your mind? What is it that's important to you? Now, the other thing that just during the break I was quickly looking at, person message sent through a graphic from the elections office with the update. As many have probably been following. We're just not only accustomed to the professionalism, but the proficiency, the efficiency, the very objective way that the elections office goes about its duties. And Mr. Howell and his team certainly do a commendable job at presenting a very impartial and unbiased perspective. Now, less than a few handfuls of people to be verified as they hit their mark with respect to being in a position to say, well, all those who have signed the petition seeking the People's Initiative referendum on the port issue. Now, that does not mean that the people who signed it, at least my interpretation, that they are for or they are against. There are probably those who certainly have a particular very well entrenched perspective when they go to the polls. For others, we probably will look at it and say, okay, what is the question and how do we weigh in on our answer as we respond to what seemed to be highly probable referendum on the issue. This particular comment said, I should have not have to come to this. As I quickly glance at what was shared, there should have been a decision of this magnitude that not only were the people we elected sort of presenting, but rest on their shoulders. And the author of this comment shared two views. Do we need, was his question, to make an amendment to our Constitution that says that issues like this, and he listed out a number of things, not only the cost, but the long-term impact, that there should be decisions left for the electorate as opposed to just for those who we elect. And then secondly, is saying that the wording of the question, how that is phrased, could be very determined. If the question is, do you support the cruise industry or the port or the tourism product or the building of piers, yes or no? Well, a lot of people probably say yes. If it's, well, do you, and it's question in a certain format that is very specific, you may be more inclined to have a better answer. But does it really, as I read what this person has shared, are you really positioned to be able to say yes or no? Now, hopefully he would call as he has promised, but he says, we certainly want a tourism product to grow. We certainly want to be able to provide not just the economic opportunities for the people in the industry now, with the aspiring entrepreneurs, but generations. Certainly would be very obvious that people are concerned not just about the cost, but also any potential impact on the environment, on the social fabric, and the like. Now, how do we balance that? And how do we make sure that what is shared isn't relayed in such a way that it paints a picture that, what is it that we hear these days? Alternate truths. Well, 949-8037, 949-6990, or toll free with the kind compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Now, just earlier this morning in a discussion with a few individuals, one shared that for some today is just another day. For others, it's that day that not that long ago they were pretty much very concerned about their own safety and well-being because of the experiences that they were enduring then, referring to the passage of Ivan. For others, it's the day we have an official funeral for one of the veteran politicians who served in what is now our cabinet. It was very instrumental in their agriculture policies and the like. Now, let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Welcome back, Mr. Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon, and how are you?
All right.
Good to hear from you again.
Yeah. As Susan said, you can't hear me. You can hear me?
I can hear you, man. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
Good to have you back, man. I just say about the shelters. I say, but not only the shelters, but you should have like when you're recycling all the metal, you try and make them hurricane shutters for the windows for all the houses. The government could, try to do that. That'd be another 900 jobs right there.
Mm-hmm.
And, where you could, how much shelters we would have had if we had not had them certain laws in places. By now, right?
Now, when we look at the building of hurricane shelters and just the building itself, what do you think? I was just trying to look for a resource. I know I have it somewhere, of the capacity that we have now across the country as to how many people we can officially house in our shelters. Now, many of us have our homes constructed in a way, not just because of the building code, but because of our own sort of mindset and financial wherewithal to make sure that the homes are built as safe and as strong as we can. But do you think there are things we can do as a people and not necessarily have to rely on the government to provide all of this?
Well, if you calculate all the money that's going on,
mm-hmm.
you will see how much shelters we could have by now.
Mm-hmm.
Through concessions and through people just paying the way around here, you can see how much we would have by now.
Right. But with that, though, is that then part of the challenge that we call on the government? Now, some of us would say, well, the government is us, right? But we've elected these people, so we put them in a position to say, here's a mandate to do these things. But are we as, again, the voters specifically, paying attention and dictating to them? And I use that word deliberately. Hey, when you get elected, in addition to making sure the economy is running, but let's make sure the roads are safe, make sure that there are certain mindsets that we try to develop through not just policies but actions. And if we're building a building, is there something that we can do? Maybe a concession of sorts, not just as you shared.
Yeah, it has when you say the mindset,
mm-hmm.
if you're trying to build it into Miami, you're going to have the same kind of corruption in the things, like when you vote for something, or you're going to have different kind of voters for different stuff that is only to supply one minority.
Right. Do you think, right?
And they all congregate in our clean eyes, and we can't say nothing to them. But give you one set an example about this port. This port is very similar to the wall Trump time building. You understand?
How so?
He said Mexico gonna pay. He said Mexico gonna pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. These politicians saying the cruise line gonna pay for it, right? Okay, we got that, and we also got Ivan. 9/11. That's how similar these politicians play along with each other up there. You think I joking? You know, only that bicycle he was riding up there. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But then, go ahead.
No. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I was thinking, and I don't want to be seen that I'm defending the politicians or anything. I mean, who knows? We got elections 2 years away. Maybe it's time that we start hit them harder, but only from the perspective of being accountable. But the voters, I keep coming back to the voters. Where are we as voters? You know,
the voters. Well, it's sad to say, but they know where it was Trinidad or Barbados, where they had that implications of direct rule.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's somewhere over there. I'm sorry if I mistaken, right? But somewhere over there they had to go and implicate direct rule. And this is something either they're trying to avoid or they're trying to see happen. You understand?
Well, we had it in Turks and Caicos, right?
Turks and Caicos.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Turks and Caicos. Very sorry.
No, that's
Turks
okay.
and Caicos.
Uh-huh.
So it's either they want this to happen or they don't want it to happen, right? And one of these ways to divide us is coming up where they just going on, they're just going on blatantly showing their power.
Right. But if our people, right, and again, just narrow it to a set of the population, the voters, if the voters are not informed, are not involved, and they're not invested, as it were, and if we have, say, an election.
We'll be too busy to know anything. We got to go work 8 o'clock. We got to drop the kid off at the same time, 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You be too busy to even catch a breath on anything.
I hear you. But we also seem to be afraid of our shadows, afraid to ask a question, afraid to offend people, and
you're going to lose your job.
Well, that is a real fear that many have, and it's not just those who work for government or statutory authority. Seemingly, it's people in the private sector. If that is the case, the question has to be, are we truly in a democracy? And
we just a capitalism, a show, a real show of capitalism. You know, Mr. Hitler, as bad as he was, he still had free health care and free education, though. I mean, this is how maniacal the people we deal with, and it's not only what you're talking about. These people, we're talking about the voters and the influencers around these places. You understand?
Come back to mindset, right? I mean, where we as a people who live here, we're increasing our population. There are those who are seemingly rushing here along to become part of the fold. How do we build a greater sense of unity so that we recognize that we're all in this together? And at the end of the day, if the country is a safe, stable, nice place, it's going to be good for all of us. If it's chaotic, divisive, how is that going to affect us? Hey, listen, thanks for sharing your thoughts, all right? All right. All the best to you, man. Always a pleasure to listen to what he has to say. Now, thanks to Ms. Susan. We've got a couple of seconds over the last break, but we'll pause and we'll take that when we come back. Well, my calendar says it's going to be a chance to talk about Caribbean Wellness Day. Let me look through this 1 foot thick concrete wall that we call a bunker. That is our studio when I come back. If that's the case, And that's the case. If it isn't, well, it'll be something else. I want to know. Do you? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Come on, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Hi, my name is Neraya LeBlanc. I am the minister and evangelist to the West Bay Church of Christ on 24 Batabano Road. I would love to take this opportunity to invite you to experience God's family at West Bay for yourself. We are a caring congregation that strongly believes in reaching out beyond ourselves to spread the gospel of Christ. We also take great pleasure in ministering to the needs of our people in our community. As God's called out kingdom people, we are in the business of transforming lives for the Master's use. For more information, you can visit our website at westbaycichurchofchrist.org or call us at 946-9294 or 917-1809.
Declaring the word of the Lord. Cayman Islands Church of Christ presents Word of the Lord.
Word of the Lord, heard Sundays at 6:30 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's back. And this year, it's bigger and better than ever. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman presents PACE, the 8th annual Delano Hislop Memorial Journey for Life, 5K walk, 10K run, and introducing the all-new 15K ride event. That's right, parents, kids, young and old. Come out on Sunday, September 22nd at the all-new starting location at the all-new Jasmine Building, adjacent to Coconut Joe's parking lot. Also, participants who raise the most funds can win one of our 3 grand prizes, $250 for third place, $500 for second place, or the $1,000 grand prize. Other random prizes will be available on site. So Cayman, it's time to get active. Sign up today at caymanactive.com/pace to be a part of the 5K walk, 10K run, and the all-new 15K ride event. Sponsored in part by DART, CUC, Cayman Water Company, the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, Water Authority Cayman, Borden Holdings, BF Insurance, Cineco, and the Maples Group.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, discussion is so great. Let's have some more open line until 2 o'clock where the community dietitian, Ms. Rosario, will be joining us. And I've had a chance to quickly chat with her. It's going to be an excellent discussion as we talk about, wellness and the like. And I'm very, very grateful for the Health Services Authority in particular for being able to afford the opportunity for many of their staff to join us. And as we talk about health and wellness, as I've said, and if I ever get accused of it being, an improper statement, well, correct me. The true pillars in any society are it's educational system that is the very best in terms of upskilling, equipping, informing, educating the people, not just by their examinations and qualifications and that such, but the ability to think, critically assess, and to contribute. And then equally, supporting them would be the notion of a very, very resilient, robust healthcare system, whereas we see people becoming more active, living longer, presumably we'll see some of us being able to live to beyond 100. Now, would be nice to still be in possession of our mental faculties, be able to be physically fit. We may, as the country song talks about, may not be as good as we once were, but good ones as we ever were. Who knows? 949-8037, 949-6990. I love my country music. Or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Now, as Susan shares her thoughts with us, one day we'll get her maybe hosting as well. Oh, what is on your mind? What is it that you're thinking of? Last caller, I hope, like the lady earlier when we're going to our news break, that they'll forgive us for interrupting them sometimes so that we can take the breaks. It's a delicate balance. Susan does it much more in a militant style, I believe, than some of us. But maybe we'll get there. We'll learn a little bit more of discretion and allow a little bit more of a leeway. But what is in your mind? The last caller's perspective in relation to what's unfolding. Again, is it unfair? Is it naive to think that the voters can and should have more say? Is it, as we've seen in many other jurisdictions and perhaps the U.S., perhaps only because we're maybe more familiar with it, maybe because of the dynamics, we see the seemingly very direct, overt influence of the lobbying interests. Perhaps it happens in the UK, for instance, but more subtle. Perhaps it's at the dinner clubs and on the other, sort of socializing events, not the paid political lobbyists. That revolving door between, working in government and going into the private sector, and sometimes even coming back into government. Will the notion that in the Cayman political landscape, will we see that becoming sort of the norm? And if it does, should it be? Should we have people? Now, you may look at lobbying efforts and consider certain organizations, whether they're in the professions, whether they're groups of businesses, whether they're even groups of individuals who have come together and decided that they would like to see a particular thing happen or not happen. And they are able to influence, maybe because the elected politicians are their friends, their mates, as it were. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon, Ms. Susan, and to all our listeners.
And to you, sir. Good afternoon. How's everything with you?
Yes, it's okay. Just want to let the residents of Grand Cayman know about that mega structure that's off Georgetown. Been there from Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
I had several calls about it, and in fact, people couldn't get in contact with me because the cell phone was given trouble. And due to locations, we have so many blank spots on Cayman Brac with cell phones, both Flow and Digicel cell phones. Certain parts of the island you can't get through, and people will say, well, we've been calling and we don't get through to you, and that's what happens a lot of times. So that is the third biggest floating crane ship in the world, pipe laying crane ship that is off Georgetown. Have you seen it?
I did, yes. So tell us about it. I mean, where is it going? Why is it here? And give us your perspective.
Yes, it's there for a very historic event. It stopped in to do the biggest crew change that has ever taken place in the history of the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm.
200 crew members are being flown in from various nationalities from many countries over the world to join the ship in Grand Cayman. 200 crew members were coming in to join it, and 56 crew members will be coming off, going back to their country of origin. That is the biggest number of crew that has ever been changed in the Cayman Islands, represented, I think, by Borden Shipping and Webster's Tours were doing the shuttling of the crew members from the airport to from the hotel, whatever, back to the dock. It's brought quite a bit of money into the island, things like that. And it is a ship that is coming from Norway. Last port was Norway, and it took roughly 1 month to reach Grand Cayman, self-powered. It was doing like 7.5 knots, about 9 miles, close to 10 miles per hour on its journey. I was the first one that made contact. I knew about it from like 2 weeks before. before it arrived. And I made contact with it when it was like 60 miles away from Cayman Brac. Also to say that the crane that is erected now, one of the cranes are almost straight up in air.
Mm-hmm.
The crane is roughly 600 feet long from the base of the crane to the tip end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that crane was raised to honor the late John McLean, the politician from Grand Cayman. That crane was risen to honor him as a Cayman Island being the Cayman Islander, Caymanian being a seafaring country, seafaring islands. That crane was raised in air, pointing up in the sky to honor.
Yeah, and that's, again, thanks to efforts like yours to make sure we recognize. If I may ask you, when these crew changes normally take place, is it normal for it to pull in to shore or close to shore, and then for the crew to fly in and then be ferried out to the thing, or how is it normally done?
Yes, correct. It has been many crew changes done off of Georgetown. Was up to the fourth biggest tanker in the world. I stopped by there. In fact, one time, the biggest tanker in the world stopped by off Georgetown.
Right.
That was about 10 years ago. Yes, they can come in. Most of them will stop 2 miles off the coast, come in 1 or 2 miles off the coast to enable a shorter distance for transporting the crew members.
Now, why is this one so much closer?
Go ahead.
Sorry, why is this one seemingly that much closer to shore?
Why this one is much closer?
Uh-huh.
That's just the distance that the captain made the decision to bring the ship, and then also for that special event of honoring this late John McLean, to be off in the harbor with the crane erected to display where the residents can see it very closely.
Was that at your request?
Yes, that's correct. And the mate from there that organized that, he will be or already gone or will be leaving from the ship to go back home on vacation. The mate was actually a Filipino mate that I did all the conducting of the information and the conducting of the honors.
So you spoke to him in Tagalog? Because I think you're quite skilled at many languages, no?
Yes, I know quite a bit of that Tagalog language. That's right. I worked with hundreds of seamen. I was worked on oil tankers with the ship transfer. I had 6 years experience with that, being an assistant pilot assistant to the docking masters. And that was something that I was talking about here recently about Grand Cayman produced and Cayman Brac, Little Cayman and Cayman Brac produced the most mooring masters of any place in the world for its size, and the most sea captains was Little Cayman. And that's because of a shipwreck man that was a sea captain, and he taught navigation to these Caymanian men, mostly Cayman Bracers and Little Caymanians, and teach them how to do navigation. And that's why we had so many captains from Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. And my brother, Captain Radley, he left at age 16, working for the Foster family. Captain Bertie Foster, that's Scott Development's actually brother's grandfather, Bertie Foster, Captain Bertie. My brother left out at 16 working in the mess room. And at 19, he became Master Mariner in command of a freighter coming from Honduras to Jamaica. Also, Captain Ed Lee Martin was a very young Caymanian seaman as well, and there's probably several from Grand Cayman that I don't know about, also that were in the seafaring heritage of the Cayman Islands, that built the foundations of these islands, their hard work at sea, going through war times and all that to earn money to send home, to start the economy of Cayman Brac and Grand Cayman and Little Cayman. So those seamen, you can't do too much for them. We need to appreciate what they have done. I mean, my father was a man, also a seaman, that was torpedoed on a ship somewhere between Grand Cayman and Little Cayman. He was a survivor, and let me tell you, he told me, he said, Raymond, he said, when the Germans torpedoed the ship that I was on, the and we got in the lifeboat. They fired a torpedo just above their heads to scare the hell out of them, you know. You're not supposed to do that after you sink the ship. You're supposed to take POWs, prisoners of war, on board your ship and save them. But they fired a torpedo over the heads of the survivors of that ship during war times. So that will tell you what some of those seamen went through. And there was Edward Banks, that was killed on board that ship. And his body was brought ashore, and burial was in Little Cayman. He was buried, I think, in a lead coffin, a lead casket. Yes, quite an interesting information, and I have a wealth of knowledge about lots of things that happens around here, and has happened in the past. I keep up with lots of things.
But this is it, you know. When we listen to you, we recognize how easy and unfortunately we tend to forget our maritime history and not just the seafaring heritage, but the service during wartime of many of our people. And if nothing else, you know, you can take pride in knowing that you celebrate along with the people and cause us to be reminded. Any other thoughts, Mr. Raymond? Hello, Mr.
Four people were overdue or missing in the boat. I was involved with that. I got a call from Grand Cayman in the morning saying that four people had lost contact in a boat coming from the States, from Tampa to Grand Cayman. So I put all effort into that. That was my most recent assistance to lives at sea. That was when that boat was overdue. I contacted ships and broadcasted to keep a lookout for this boat, and if they see it, to take it in tow. Anyway, they were found later that evening, and they had run out of fuel, and another boat went out and gave them fuel, and they came back to Grand Cayman. So anyway, this number, I will say that again, being I'm a emergency response person, not on pay, but I still do it, right? Because I know what it is to be out there on sea and you get in trouble and you need help. Just again, announcing my number is 927-7156. And if you don't get me, because I be all over the island from end to end, if you don't get me on 927-7156, you get me on 917-7561. That's Raymond Scott. Actually, I act as the Maritime Safety Authority for the Cayman Islands, but nobody has ever recognized or appointed me to that position. But that's what they've been using me for all these 40 years, and that's just the way it goes. But anyway, all the best to everybody, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you too, Mr. Raymond. Good afternoon to you. With that, we'll pause, take our final break for this segment, and then we come back as we head up to the headline news at 2. Looking forward to our discussion about Caribbean Wellness Day. Ms. Rosario will certainly inform us. So, you want to know what she's going to say? Well, 10 minutes away. Stay tuned. We'll talk today.
The Breeze Fusion is back Saturday, November 2nd.
Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO. Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studios. Registration is only $15 if registered by September 30th. And all early registrants enter to win a Cayman Airways voucher.
The Breeze Fusion 5K 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Attention all gamers. Get ready for the return of the Caribbean's #1 esports event and gaming convention this September 28th and 29th.
That's right. Gamers Bay 4. Now a 2-day event. Going down September 28th and 29th, right here in the Cayman Islands.
If you think you have what it takes, you can compete for over $15,000 in cash and prizes. Compete head-to-head in Fortnite, Apex Legends, FIFA 19 and Super Smash Bros.
Special celebrity guest gamers and YouTubers. Drifter, Fangs, Queen of FIFA, and Team Martin will be in attendance.
There will be lots of free gameplay for PC gamers, console gamers, mobile gaming, and VR.
For more information and to register yourself or a team, visit gamersbaycayman.com.
Proudly sponsored by NetGeeks Media,
Mountain Dew,
C3 Pure Fiber,
Papa John's,
Department of Tourism,
Ministry of Education,
Kimpton Seafire Hotel,
Dolphin Discovery,
Cayman Turtle Setting,
Hurley's Media,
Suzuki, Margaritaville Beach Resort, and Radio Cayman. The Business Buzz with Sabrina Turner. Each and every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m. Brought to you by FSH Design. Let your imagination grow with FSH Design Limited. Visit fshdesign.com today.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Turning to international news.
Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News. Headlines. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. 949-8837, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Likewise, if you so choose, you can send us a thought on our email. I know some of you tell me, what is old technology? Well, let's talk today at candw.ky. Use it if you so choose. Now, listen to the last caller's views in relation to our seafaring legacy or maritime heritage, and wondering to what extent are we seeing opportunities for our people. Some of our school leavers, for instance, as they look into future careers, are they considering, are they being advised, are they aware of what could they be in the maritime sector? Perhaps for whatever reason, and it's not to be dismissed, but it's not only because potentially the harrowing stories of their fathers and grandfathers of being at sea for months on end, for being away from their families, sometimes for years. But certainly, even then, 50 years ago and now, lives are different. Perhaps they don't see the opportunities. Perhaps the pay and the opportunity for adventure and exploration isn't there. Perhaps the dangers are even more. Now, perhaps it isn't that they want that sort of life. Are there other ways that we can still maintain our maritime heritage, still, provide handsomely, properly, appropriately for our families, but offer up to our students as they consider careers that they can be in that sector, not just employed within the respective areas of government, but in the private sector. Perhaps there are naval architects out there who, as they consider this could be a career, perhaps marine engineers, perhaps other avenues, and from the marine surveyors and the like. Are we telling our people sufficiently that if they get into finance or into law or other similar areas, that they can have an emphasis on the maritime sector? Perhaps we are, perhaps we're not. Well, as we get ready for our news break, what do you want to share with us as we go? 949-8837, 949-6990, or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Now, equally, as we were listening to the last caller prior to the break, during his comments, someone sent through a message that we looked at as we were at our break, and the person shares the view that when we look at Cayman and see that it's now positioned to either go left or right. You know, it certainly can continue straight ahead, but as I reread the person's sentiments, maybe taking another path, deviating from whatever course we're on, would that be better for us? Now, if the deviation is too much, or if we go on the wrong path, will it be to our detriment? The person left the question, how do we know which path to take? And the answer is there a national vision? Well, 949-8837, 949-6990, or with the County Club Council Flow, you can use the toll-free line as well. Let's take a call. Hey, good afternoon, welcome. You're on Talk Today. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
Not bad.
Good to hear from you.
It's something what I calling about.
Mm-hmm.
Cayman people want to draw their pension, and they don't want to give it to them.
Okay. If you have the radio nearby, you may find it that takes a delay, and so if you're able to just chat with us, good. All right. So that
I know some of the foreigners get days, went home and spend it, and now come back and work in here again.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the corporate business with the foreigners, not Caymanians. Caymanians want days so that they could do something with it to the houses. The foreigner take his and go home and then come back, and the immigration give them another permit. It's not right.
Mm-hmm. So what do we do then?
What you do? Just don't give them no more permit, and they come.
But then there are those who would share that without the added people to the shores, we don't have the skill sets or even the bodies to do the work to be done. And if we're going to have a sustainable economy, we need more people to shop in our stores, to live in our homes, and to invest in our communities.
Caymanian keep down Caymanian every way they turn. If they go in business, the first thing they tell them, oh, you're not going to make it, you're not going to make it. No, sit down and encourage them to make it. I'm telling you, every Caymanian, everyone that in the house work against Caymanians.
So what do we do then? I mean, if that is the perspective or even the perception of some, then we presumably are the ones who vote them there. So what do we do?
Well, don't vote for them in the next election. Vote them out.
But between now and then, that's a long time away. Minds may have already shifted to something else, huh?
People got a chance of the way God call it by-election,
Mm-hmm. Well, I hear you, but it's probably won't happen, right? It's not in our mindset as a people. Maybe we need to get you sitting next to us one day in the studio, sir. I want you to consider that offer so we can hear you uninterrupted. How about that?
That's okay.
All right. Let's make it happen. Before you hang up, give Susan a number that I can call you on. Would that be all right?
I don't want to give my number.
No. You give it to her and I'll call you. Would that be okay? Yeah, don't give it on air. Just stay on the line and she'll take it. If you're interested in me extending the invitation to have you on studio as a guest. All right. Well, I'm going to pause and take a break. When we come back for my headline news at 2, we're going to have a chance to talk about Caribbean Wellness Day. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The RCIPS helicopter's deployment to the Bahamas has been extended with the permission of His Excellency the Governor and Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin. The crews are assisting in multiple ways. Thousands of hurricane survivors have been filing off boats and planes in the capital of the Bahamas, facing the prospect of starting their lives over, many of them, though, with little idea of how or where to begin. A week after Hurricane Dorian laid waste to their homes, some just sat in hotel lobbies as they tried to figure out their next step. Others were taken by bus to shelters jammed to capacity. Some got rides from friends or family offering temporary places to stay. Trump administration officials today defended their path to Congress for ending government control of mortgage finance giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, clashing with Democratic senators on whether the change would raise home borrowing costs and neglect lower-income homeowners. The two finance companies nearly collapsed in the financial crisis 11 years ago and were bailed out at a cost to taxpayers of nearly $190 billion. Italian Premier Giuseppe Conte's new pro-Europe government cleared a second key hurdle, winning a confidence vote today in the Senate, where his uneasy left-leaning coalition commands a slim majority. After easily clinching a first confidence vote Monday in the lower chamber of deputies, Conte successfully sought support in the Senate, drawing 169 votes in favor, 133 against, with 5 senators abstaining, including at least one apiece from the two parties in the coalition, the populist Five Star Movement and the center-left Democrats. The two parties have long been arch rivals, but they banded together, along with a tiny left-wing party, to forge a coalition to shut Matteo Salvini out of power, the leader of the right-wing League Party, who has been soaring in popularity. Those are your headlines. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Cayman, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It really is a pleasure. I get to feel every day I'm a student. I get to learn, and I get to find out more things. And as we can celebrate our health and wellness, in particular Caribbean Wellness Day, well, even better. In our studio from the Health Services Authority, one of their community dietitians, I got a chance to hopefully say it correctly, Ms. Crescelia Rosario.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for coming on board. For me, it's so gratifying to know that as a country, we continue to invest in our health and well-being. Mm-hmm. And the idea that as a people, we understand that the body is our temple, right? And what we put into it, if we can take care of it, I'm getting there. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. Put good things in, and we get good things out, right?
Yeah.
All right, so welcome. Hopefully, you'll be able to join us again.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
All right, it's a good place to be. Not a bad place to be at all. Tell us, though, as we talk about Caribbean Wellness Day, first off, what is Caribbean Wellness Day?
Caribbean Wellness Day is observed every year on the 2nd of September across the Caribbean. This year it is 14th of September. It's geared towards increasing awareness and promoting activities to address non-communicable disease, which are recognized as a threat to one's well-being and continue to severely impact the health, economy, and development of Caribbean countries and territories.
When you think about it, the health is even the cost of healthcare, but the notion of how it affects people, and sometimes we take it for granted, especially when you're young or when you're not unwell. Right. You just take it for themes. Now, for this year, is there a particular theme?
Yes. This year, theme is Healthy Aging Starts Now. Therefore, for Caribbean Wellness Day 2019, are focusing on healthy lifestyle practices that can help to prevent or delay people's chances of getting non-communicable disease and maintain a healthy well-being as they age.
When you think about it, healthy aging starts now. It's sort of like anything. If you prepare early on?
Yes, we have some activities planned. A major part of our activity this year is to focus on older persons, as I told you before, including those who are bedridden, by providing outreach and support to them and identifying those who may be living with non-communicable disease, such as diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, and cancers. And we'll be taking free nutritional assessment consultation and health screening and counseling into private homes of 20 older persons across Grand Cayman from 16th to 20th of September. So through the free nutrition screening, we hope to encourage old persons to practice healthy lifestyle habits that will reduce their chances of developing heart disease, certain cancer, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, dementia, arthritis, and other disease commonly associated with older age. We also want them to feel empowered and supported to lead dignified lives.
And I think about it, that's what we want as we get older, not just in our youth, but as we get older, to feel a sense of independence, to feel empowered, to feel that there is still dignity and respect to our lives. If I may ask you, as we look at the idea of these 20 individuals, these 20 homes, for me, that's more than 20 people because their extended families can benefit from this.
It's approximately 20, so we'll be seeing more 20, I guess.
Yeah. And as the families come on board, seeing their loved ones, their tips and tricks, their things that they can learn, they can employ in their own lives and make it better.
Yep.
It's all about healthy lifestyles and healthy living. Yes. Now, the notion of some of the illnesses that you referenced, diabetes in particular, someone talk about it being, some physicians that we had specifically in the past have said some of these are lifestyle illnesses. There are things that we can do to either reduce or stave off or even deal with in a way so that they're preventable. As you talk about healthy aging, we're seeing the populations, in the Western world anyway, getting on. People are active in their 90s. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
How do we then? Well, maybe as we go through and we chat with it and the idea of the things that we're talking about. You reference some of the screenings and there will be an offer. Tell us more about that.
And the nutritional and health screening will also include cholesterol, glucose, and blood pressure test. We offer this kind of test. And we'll send the result maybe 1 or 2 days or maybe a week. So based on their blood report or if their cholesterol level is high and sugar level is high, so based on that, we give the diet counseling and diet chart will be made for them. Yeah.
Now, there are some people who, even when they go on a regular basis to their physicians for even their annual checkup, they'll get these things, but for some reason we don't put in place the requisite measures to make the lifestyle changes. The doctors say, well, you're a little bit on the obese side, or the physician might say, well, her advice to you is cut back on certain things.
Calories, yes.
Right. And we don't seem to follow and heed their advice and counsel. Are there things that we can do, and not only in the early days, but as you're talking about some of our elderly and some of these patients that you're looking at, to make their lives more dignified into their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100s plus? What can we do for them? Well, let me ask it this way then.
Okay.
And maybe towards the end we can share some of those tips as to how.
Yeah, at the end of the show I would like to share some tips. Yeah.
All right. You were focusing on healthy aging starts now as the theme. When we look at the idea of someone being considered an older person,
the World Health Organization defines older person as people over 60 years of age, but in the Cayman Islands we recognize an older person as someone 65 years and older. The Caribbean Public Health Agency states that in many Caribbean countries, older adults make up one of the fastest growing groups. In 1980, 1 in 15 person was aged 60 and older. This amount is expected to double by the year 2020. Persons are also living longer. Today, a person born in the region can expect to live 15 to 20 years more than his or her grandparent, if that person does not develop this non-communicable disease. And 2015 statistics from ESO, Economics and Statistics Office, showed that of the total population of Cayman, there are an essential 5,832 older person living on an island, with 3,687 persons living in household having persons 60 years old and over. Over the gaps and issues, local research for the Caribbean Islands Older Person Policy 2016 to 2035 identified with this group is that there is a lack of lifelong education and training on healthy and active aging. We want to help this age group, those living with this age group, to manage their health as best as possible. The cost associated with these diseases are not always manageable for governments, employer, and families. So healthy aging is about maintaining the ability that allows you to do the things that are of importance to you. And it's a key strategy for sustainable development and decreasing future health costs for you and your loved ones.
You know, Mr. Zario, as a listener, that's part of the challenge, right? The idea that we don't see that these costs are not just something that is challenging for the individual, but even for the employers as a group, but the governments as well. So the notion that health, if aging, if we look at it from now that we're young and healthy, we can be healthy and active. You referenced something that I note: active aging. There's some people who think, well, you get to a certain age and that's it. And then there are others going, well, life is just beginning now. I got more pep in my step at 80 than I did at 18, or just as much. Yeah. So how do we get people, when we come back from the break, maybe talking more about the idea of healthy aging, active aging, and get people to appreciate that, okay, you run a marathon when you're 25, you can still do it at 85. It may not take be as quickly as you could, but you could if you wanted to.
Yes.
Okay, maybe you don't run the marathon, maybe you just do a light 2-mile jog, but you can. To get people to dispel in their mindsets, and just because you're old, you're to be tossed to the curb and forgotten. Are we going to talk about that?
Yes.
All right. Listen, phone lines are open if you want to chat. It's going to be to show respect and truly a deference for our elderly people. But stop and think. If you're, 30 today, how do you want to be treated when you're 80? And if there are things you can do today at 35 that helps you when you're 95 to be just as active and as healthy and as, resilient, wouldn't you want to know? Well, maybe we'll tell you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Hurricane Ivan was a storm that changed the Cayman Islands. On Wednesday, the 11th of September, you're invited to join the Water Authority as it marks the 15th anniversary of Ivan. View the Authority's special exhibit highlighting the impact of the storm and the strides the Authority has made to become stronger and more resilient. Get important preparedness information to help keep you vigilant this hurricane season, all while enjoying lunch. Join the Water Authority in remembering Hurricane Ivan. It all happens on Wednesday, the 11th of September, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Water Authority office.
I can do this.
We believe in you.
Each day brings hope.
Every day, millions of people celebrate their recovery from addiction and mental illness while others begin their journey. Be a part of it. Share your strength, support, and hope. Join the Voices for Recovery. Together, we are stronger.
Join the Voices for Recovery and attend one of our upcoming workshops to learn how you can support someone impacted by substance abuse. District workshops will be offered during the month of September in West Bay, Georgetown, and East End. For further information, contact the Department of Counseling Services at 949-8789.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And from the Health Services Authority, Community Dietitian Cosalia Rosario. It's a pleasure. I'm honestly very, very grateful for this partnership that we have. And increasingly over the years, we've had different physicians from many of the different facilities. Some visiting, joining us and having their chance to educate and inform the public, not just about their services, but about the importance of being actively engaged in our health and our well-being. As you were sharing, though, the notion of healthy aging and active aging, and as young people, sometimes we get involved with technology. You were referencing earlier this thing, the Face app.
Yes.
For those of us who don't know, I confess, I'm only slightly familiar with it, and only just recently because, well, we have a guy here, Joel Wilson. He thinks he's still young, but he's older than me, actually. Don't tell him that. But he thinks he's one of the young people, and so he knows all this technology.
Yes.
What is this? I mean, tell us about that.
So I just want to share something before we end up the show. Face app, it's one of the popular app in young adults, right? And people have the curious to see, especially young people have the curious to see their face, how they look like when they get older. And take a picture and put it in WhatsApp status and share it in Facebook and get comments. Let me tell you, old age is not about getting wrinkles and gray hair. It's about how we get old gracefully. Aging doesn't occur when you reach at 60. The truth is, we age every day. The question is, are we aging healthy? Even though the show is about Caribbean Wellness Day, I want to give some tips to all the age group. So this will help you to age healthy from today. Very simple. Start your day with breakfast. Don't skip your meals. Breakfast doesn't mean start with coffee and patty or coffee and donut. Have healthy breakfast. And drinking water. Minimum like at least 6 to 8 glasses of water every day. Because water flush all the toxins out of your body and it keep you hydrated well. Even though you're not thirsty, keep a bottle of water near your desk or near your workplace. When you look at it, just have a sip and at least aim for 6 to 8 glasses. And limit processed and fast food. Always prefer homemade food because when you cook, you know what you're adding in it. Yes, and include more whole grains. There are a lot of whole grains are available in the market. But we always choose like rice, oats, and wheat, like quinoa, barley, buckwheat. There are a lot of whole grains. So include more whole grains in your diet and avoid refined products. And enjoy your vegetables and fruits. Yes. And quit smoking and limit your alcohol. And everyday physical activity, at least 30 to 45 minutes brisk walking.
So get the heart rate up so you notice it.
Just brisk walk every day, and that will helps to keep your body fit, and you can reduce your you can burn more calories. And last but not least, thank God for every day.
Amen to that. Yeah, be grateful, huh? All things give thanks. But it's true.
So staying healthy and feeling your best is important at any age. So aging gracefully is more about being healthy and happy than keeping wrinkles at bay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if I may ask, and I appreciate you sharing, and if I could take a few minutes more of your time, we look at aging and as getting old, as you said, the grey hair or the loss of hair and the wrinkles, and we do things, but then what are we doing inside? Are we still active? And I saw years ago something that a friend who's a physician has shared. If you do a particular activity, so you lift up 10 pounds or 20 pounds every day, safely, properly, at age 10, and you're still doing it at age 20, and you're still doing it when you age 50, that when you age 90, that weight, you can still do that thing. Maybe it's 5 push-ups, maybe. And he was conducting an experiment on himself, and he found that if you do this thing consistently, you can do it when others in your age group are struggling. So aging, being active, being healthy.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes,
for the mindset.
Yes.
All right. You talked about breakfast, though. And many of us, we seem to be too busy to eat. What we think we're eating is just, quickly in and out. But how important is that nutritional, balanced breakfast?
Breakfast is first meal of the day. Yes. And it jumpstarts your whole body. You know, what is the real meaning of breakfast? Because all these, all like throughout the night, we'll be like fasting. We are breaking this fast by having a meal called breakfast. So it's a brain food. Have some healthy breakfast like multigrain bread toast or whole grain cereal with 1% milk. Having some fruit smoothies in the morning. Have something healthy breakfast.
Some people would say that for them, their breakfast is a big meal, lots of protein, meats or a big meal. Others something lighter like fruit or. Is there particular insight into what?
As you said, big, huge meal. I always say to my not only patients but everybody, split your meals into 5. Don't have huge meal at one time. For example, as I told you before, like 2 slices of bread, multigrain bread with peanut butter, and by 11 o'clock you can have some fruit smoothies or healthy snacks, and by 11:30 or 12 o'clock lunch, and 3 o'clock your light snack, and 6 o'clock or 7:30 your early dinner. This is how you have to split your meals.
So eating, again, healthy choices, but fairly regularly, a little bit more frequently, and then maybe some of us have 1 meal for the day, or we'll have 3 squares, we say, and no proper sort of snacking, healthy snacking during the day. So we're going up and down with our foods. More frequent meals, we see.
Frequent meals, but not large meals.
Okay.
Yeah, healthy meals. In other words, I can say that.
If as a dietitian, we're seeing the convenience and the lifestyles that we have. So we go to the refrigerator section of the supermarket, we buy something, we pop it in the microwave, or we go into some of the already prepared food places and we buy in processed things because it's convenient. It's probably affordable.
Yes. Processed food, always loaded with preservatives. For example, processed meat, bacon, hot dogs, sausages. You no need to cook for a long time. Just simply just keep it in the microwave or just cook it for 2 minutes and the meat will be ready. But these processed meat are loaded with a lot of sodium nitrate, like salts.
So salts, yeah.
Too much preservatives. So limit processed food, convenient food. Take your time and cook. Making salad and grilled meat, it will not take much time. Maybe 15 minutes.
Now, for those people who, and again, we're talking, to Ms. Casalia, right? Rosario, one of the community dietitians over the Health Services Authority. We were talking not just about Caribbean Wellness Day, but as you shared the idea of being well. Really in the Caribbean, let's be well. Yes, we want to focus on the theme of healthy aging starts now, but active aging. So if you're 10 years today, on your birthday today, tomorrow you're 10 years in one day, God's willing. You're aging, as you shared, every day.
Every day, yes.
So if we start now with our children, how do we get then to that point when we're looking at, making time to prepare our foods? Again, home cooking is better. Make it an activity. But school has started back for many of us. We're balancing our work. We've got, families. We've got all of the commitments of church and school and community. How do you balance that so that you get time to eat properly?
So we are spending more time in phone nowadays. Why can't we spend some time in cooking?
I like to eat. Cook,
Is it
right?
true or not?
It's true. Well, I can say yes, unfortunately.
Yeah. So take your time and cook for your kids and for yourself and take care of yourself.
But people see cooking as this, difficult thing that is, you don't do anymore. For me, there's nothing better than being in the kitchen. Well, maybe one other thing, but being in the kitchen and you're preparing a food and people are laughing and you go to the table and you sit and 2 or 3 hours later, you're still enjoying the meal. Now, that is a luxury that we reserve for the weekend or for a special occasion. But could we get to a point where the preparation of the meal and the enjoyment of it isn't this thing that turns people away and say, I just go order in.
Yeah, so when you choose food from out, choose wisely. Like, instead of fried meat, go for grilled meat, baked meat with your salad, or go for the soup. Instead of like cheesy, oily, greasy food, choose your food nutritiously.
Okay. Now, there are many people who are, I don't want to say adopting a lifestyle, but have made a change in their dietary choices in recent times. So they either reduce their meats or they've cut them out altogether, and they're saying, well, a vegetarian lifestyle and the like. Any two questions. Right? One, any concerns that they may not be getting some of the nutritional benefits if they're not eating fish and meat, or are they, flip side, are they healthier?
It's like basically it's their opinion and their way of choosing their lifestyle. But if you're not getting protein from meat, they can get protein from vegetarian side, like including beans, lentils, tofu, soy products, nuts, seeds. So they can, like a quinoa, like whole grains, they can get protein in that way. When they want to get rid of like meat, they want to limit or avoid meat from their food, they can choose protein in the form of vegetarian.
I think it sounds like they make sure that they understand that if they stop eating meat,
they should not be malnourished.
Yeah, make sure. Having a chat with the dietitians at HSA would be a good way to ensure that their diets are properly balanced and that they're not, doing themselves a disservice, inadvertently. I really appreciate you sharing with us, and hopefully next week, Tuesday, you'll be back with us again.
Yes, sure.
Chance to chat. As we close our discussion today, any other thoughts and anything else you want to share with us? It's wide open. You're more than welcome to.
Yeah, just as I told you before, like avoid convenient fast foods, drink plenty of water, don't skip your meal, try to cook at home, and do your physical activity. Eat healthy and live long.
Yeah, and laugh and smile, right? Hey, I can do those things. No, life is about being grateful, and it's about, as you shared, being active. Maybe next week when we talk about our other discussions, we'll pick up on some of these and remind people as well.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ms.
Thank
Rayo.
you too.
I appreciate it. See that Ms. Susan does a great job always. Huh? Well, glad to be back here. Very glad to hear that some of you thought I was gone and actually was wondering. Those of you that didn't know I had left, well, that's cool too, because that meant the show continued and good people were in the fold. Again, thanks to Raymond Singh, Badir Awe, and Patrick Schmidt for filling in. No, that doesn't mean it takes 3 to do the job of 1. Don't say that. Don't say that. Just means that we have to share the load. But thanks to those guys. And then tomorrow, join us again for more Talk Today after the midday news and midday meditation. Remember, our neighbors and friends and families in the Bahamas have been impacted severely. We should not, forget that we weren't, not that long ago in a similar situation. So there's a way to help. Do so. If you can't help, certainly don't hinder. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Voice of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
We love our listeners. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.